Oh, we're going up half. We're going upper half, mate.
I feel like it's a good...
Fuck the table. Yeah, okay.
It's like you can just see the table.
Have you started recording?
I haven't started recording, actually.
You haven't.
I have.
You have.
I have. I'm not going to stop watch down here.
Well, it is post-race, Bahrain.
And mate.
Season opener.
Mate.
What a race.
What a race it was.
Depends who you're barracking for.
I cannot believe what happened.
Yeah.
Coming into practice, Red Bull looked phenomenal off the get-go as soon as they came out the garage. Ferrari looked good, and
Ferrari
Mercedes looked nowhere.
Yep.
You know, coming in.
We're talking about FP1, FP2?
Yeah, and then FP3 came around, and, you know, Mercedes somewhat figured out their porpoising issue.
Apparently still there, Hamilton said post-race.
I think they just raised their car a little bit, so their aero was a bit like, they're just struggling.
Well, they was running two different floors in practice.
Mm.
George and Hamilton had two different floors, so I'm assuming one of them had better results. They, as you said, raised the car a little bit more, put that floor on, and it did look a lot better.
Looked a lot better, but they were still, like 6/10 off the pace.
Yep.
And then, so quali was Leclerc first, Verstappen second, Sainz third, and I was like, Verstappen's... Red Bull looked like they had the better race car.
Yeah, it did look
I was
quicker.
tipping Verstappen to win. And then what a fucking race.
Yeah. Leclerc, honestly, for a young kid, man, with not a lot of experience leading races, he led that race like an absolute champ,
He
man.
was comfortable.
He was very commanding up front, even when Verstappen was pressuring him for those 3 laps, I think 17, 18 and 19.
Yeah.
That was good.
These
new regulations have definitely made closer racing, if that was anything to go by.
Yeah, and like they had no issue following each other for the chicanes, turn 8, like everything. It was all close racing, and I mean, look, K-Mag had a real good drive.
K-Mag P5.
Yeah, Bottas had a terrible start, and he came back through the field to finish P6.
Yep.
Was it 7? No, P6.
The only thing I was going to say about the Red Bull is couple times they were going on about overheating brakes and saying, you know, Max, we've got one shot at this, and if you don't stick it, we need to back off. So it's obviously, as we know, McLaren's got a major issue with their brakes.
Yeah, I mean,
Ricciardo's engine was even overheating at one stage in the race.
Yeah, it's unreal. And there was another one, Hulkenberg. He wasn't even able to pit because his car was running too hot.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy.
So there's still that teething process, but man.
Yeah, well, the fact that we're going that well, no retirements for the first race with new regs, and then bloody Gasly's AlphaTauri just decided to turn himself into a firecracker.
And I was like, oh no, here we go. This is where Max comes back. Like, new restart, fresh tyres, both of them. Max will get the elbows out and he'll take them on. Leclerc holds him off. Max has some issues with his steering, and then his fuel and his energy, and it ended up being a fuel pump apparently.
But that's a FIA
homologation.
Yeah, that is the same fuel pump across all cars. The FIA supplies them.
Mm.
It's a little bit concerning if the FIA supplied part is faulty.
Maybe they're pinning the blame on the fuel pump so that they can try and do their own and get past some processes to get more power. Maybe they're trying to pin the blame. No, but like if the FIA can't create like a good fuel pump, maybe they're trying to like pin the blame on that so that they can do their own, and then Red Bull might, try to manufacture a more effective fuel pump. Yeah. But a wild race, and obviously Verstappen with 4 or 5 laps to go, he's out, retired.
Yep.
Last lap, Perez.
That Red Bull, just quickly while we're talking about that.
So quick down the straight.
Speed on the straights, man.
Holy.
When he was coming on, was it Hamilton? Who did you overtake?
Verstappen was gone for Leclerc.
Perez on Hamilton.
And Perez on Hamilton. As soon as Perez got past Hamilton, just see you later.
Did you see how quick he caught Hamilton on the straights?
It's ridiculous.
It literally looked like he got a slingshot. It flew, man. I don't know if it's how slow the Mercedes is on the straights or just how quick the Red Bull is, but
it was wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, what a race. And then so last lap, obviously, Perez and Hamilton were fighting for 3rd place.
Yep. Which is impressive that Hamilton was even in that position.
I was surprised that Perez just didn't take off straight away and leave Hamilton. But
yeah, okay.
And then Perez engine locks up, first corner, final lap.
Yep.
Hamilton comes through, Russell comes through.
P4, P5.
Double DNF for Red Bull.
Yeah, not the ideal start.
Not the ideal start for Red Bull.
No.
As a person who's not a neutral and someone who doesn't lean towards a Red Bull in my support.
Yep.
I was a bit happy. But
yeah, I'm gonna try to stay neutral on this. I think, as like for this thing, I don't want to let my personal opinions impact what I say. But yeah, not an ideal start for Red Bull. I read today that Max is worried that the title has already. The result from Bahrain has already impacted his title chances.
He's trying to play it down. He'll be fine.
Yeah, that Red Bull's quick, mate. He's got no... I mean, seriously, you've got literally Ferrari and Red Bull, and then every other team is below them.
Yeah, and by a large margin.
Like, as we say, I think Hamilton was running about 6/10 off the pace, and everyone was... I think Mercedes have the third quickest car at the moment.
But once McLaren sort out their braking, they'll be right up there.
You reckon? I reckon there's an issue with the Mercedes power unit. I think Ferrari is clearly the superior power unit on the grid. Ferrari, Haas is up there, Alfa Romeo's up there, and then you've got Aston, McLaren, Williams. Is that the only Mercedes PU customers?
I don't know if it's the actual... It's McLaren, Mercedes, Aston Martin, and Williams. Yeah, but I don't know if it's the actual power unit or it's the aero... not being able to, stay balanced with the power unit.
Yeah.
But who knows? It's going to be
too
a long
early to
season.
say. As I say, I reckon by race 4 or 5, you're going to get an actual clear indication of who's going to have an all right year and turn it around. But
yeah. We were so off with our predictions when I look back at the very first podcast we filmed. And we were both like going Hugo last.
He had a great debut race, man. He composed himself very well.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, so am I.
I'm impressed.
I was honestly surprised with Bottas in the Alpha as well. Like, I didn't know if he'd be able to jump into a Ferrari-powered car on a brand new chassis, obviously, from the Mercedes. He did all right.
He's loving it. I think he's enjoying his actual driving now.
Yeah.
He's got no pressure.
Because he is the top driver in that Alpha.
100%. 100%. And it's just... I'm so excited, bro.
Yeah.
And in 6 days' time, we've got another race.
Yep. Abu Dhabi.
It's going to be great.
And then Australia,
No, not Abu Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia. Sorry.
Yeah, so Jeddah. Yeah.
Yep.
And then Melbourne.
Melbourne. I'm pissed that we don't have tickets, mate.
Yeah, but we got racing anyway. We're racing on that weekend.
Are we?
Yep.
What we got?
It's another club run.
Yeah. But what was I going to say? Ocon shitting all over Alonso.
Yeah.
He absolutely ballistic. The pace Ocon had compared to Alonso was phenomenal.
So here's my prediction. This is my hot take for the end of this season. Alonso and Vettel retire at the end of the season.
Yeah, I agree. Because the way that Aston looks at the moment, it's
shocking.
Pretty much it's worse than the McLaren.
Yeah. Alonso, he was holding out for this season to go again for a championship. Yep. And... like, Alpine just haven't provided that car. It does look pretty quick.
It's too early to say, though, man.
Like, if we're doubting that Mercedes can recover 6/10, I don't think Alpine can recover a second,
Oh, as far as championship, no.
But, like, Alonso wants he's staying for a World Drives Championship.
Yeah,
he's not going to get it.
No. It depends, though, because if by halfway to the season, Alpine's only 2-3 off pace...
Who knows? Mick Schumacher's getting found out right now.
P11? What do you get? P11?
P11.
Compared to K-Mag P5?
K-Mag's P5. Yep. K-Mag looked racy. He just made a couple of mistakes, but he made a
few on turn 1.
Yeah.
Every time went way too deep.
Quick.
And, I mean, everyone pitted on that safety car to get new tyres, and the two Haas didn't. And
Albon flogged Latifi as well.
Albon overachieved.
Is that... is Albon a better driver than Russell? Is Russell not as good as people think?
Well, you can't. I don't think you can call that because of the reg changes. If you had to put Albon in the exact same Williams as last year, then you'd be able to get a guideline. But with the new regs, I mean, Russell might have been quicker than Albon in the new car. But I really wanted Williams back up in the top 10.
Yeah, but it's good that teams that you didn't expect to be at the bottom.
I'm just so happy for Gunter.
Again. We're happy for Gunter.
Seen all the photos, man. He smiled.
He can't get it off his face.
Because Haas have had an absolutely diabolical last 2-3 years.
They gambled and didn't touch their car at all last season.
Yep.
And honestly, I was like, it doesn't matter. They're going to come last. And they've got a good car, man. But this is what I was about to say. So it's good that all these teams that you expected to be higher up are at the back, because it means that chances are they'll be able to develop themselves back into it, which means the grid is way closer than it's ever been for ages.
Yeah. With, as we said at the start, your two clear standouts being Red Bull and the Ferrari, about 6-7 tenths above everyone else.
But I think there's more teams that have got it wrong than they've got. Like, teams have got it more wrong than Red Bull and Ferrari have got it right, which means there's all this ground to recover.
Yeah. Do you reckon they'll recover it this year, though? Or do you reckon that's going to be a next year or end of this year, next year? Because bearing in mind the budget cap, teams.
But you also want to develop yourself into a better position throughout the year, because then you get more prize money as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So
they'll still be pushing, obviously. And I mean, you look at how slow. I mean, I watched the footage of Danny Rick, for example, in the McLaren qualifying, and as
just
literally
full
locked it and just had to wait until that car bit. Like, massive underseal.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It just did not look like it was fun to drive.
No, and then as you say, going on last year's results and the way Norris outclassed Ricciardo, you would think maybe Norris will do, and he only got P4 at P13, I think, in quali.
Yeah,
and then he finished behind him in the race. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
the McLaren's not in a good state right now.
It's really not. I don't know if it's just the brakes or because understeering is not just the brakes.
The three teams that look the worst is Williams, McLaren, and Aston Martin.
And I had high hopes for the Aston.
Yeah, I think we all did. It's I
mean, Vettel talked it up, and Vettel was like, "Oh, we've got a good race car this year," and evidently they do not have a good race car this year.
Yeah, it's interesting, that's for sure. I have no idea how this season's going to go, man. I think it will be Leclerc and Verstappen
fighting for the championship. I reckon Sainz is going to be in there, and I reckon for the first, I think it'll be a Ferrari driver that'll win the WDC, and I think there'll be animosity between Sainz and Leclerc who does it, because I think Leclerc is obviously the favourite at Ferrari. Ferrari have invested in Leclerc heavily. And if Sainz comes in and beats him and gets the championship, man, there's definitely going to be... Sainz was pissy last year when... Leclerc was pissy last year when Sainz outscored him.
Yeah.
So...
And Sainz is...
Keep an eye on that team, because I reckon...
I think there will be some animosity.
Yeah.
And
I think naturally that has to happen, though,
right? But dude, if it's a four-way, like a blatant four-way fight, like not like a mathematical four-way fight...
Who's the fourth?
I think...
You reckon Hamilton and Mercedes get back in there?
I think he'll come fourth in the championship, but that second half of the year, I think Mercedes are going to reel it back in.
Yeah, they will. I honestly reckon in the next race in Jeddah, they'll be...
No, they don't have time for that.
I reckon you watch them, man. I reckon they know what their issues are, and they're already... I don't think they'll be even close to fighting for, like, top 3 pole, like, as far as qualifying goes, but I think that gap in Jeddah will be down to 3-4 tenths. Yeah, we'll go back to this.
No, you watch us make this call back, and it'll be like,
I honestly, Mercedes
Hamilton
innovated a crazy rate.
1.1 seconds behind.
The fact that he could, I think it's Russell finished P5, but I think Hamilton cops a lot of crap because they had such a dominant car. Obviously, going into the turbo hybrid era, but I think he's in a league of his own, man.
The thing is there's extracting performance out of your car every now and then, out of a car that doesn't deserve to be at the front, but doing it week in, week out. Like Red Bull for 65% of the season, 70% maybe, had clearly the more dominant car.
Yeah.
And he was still in the championship race. And now he's fighting a car that was 6 tenths faster than him in Perez for like majority of that race. And now, like, you know, it's going to put Verstappen to the test here because he's now, like, I think the Red Bull and Ferrari are probably equal.
Yeah, they're not far off each other.
They're not far off each other. I think there's less of a gap between them than there was the Red Bull and Mercedes.
Yeah, I probably tend to agree.
So now it's like it's McLaren. It's up to Verstappen to like, put his money where his mouth is, essentially.
Yeah, it is really funny watching the difference between Max and Lewis and how they react. So you look at Max on his, for instance, his onboard radio and his couple outlaps when obviously he was racing Leclerc, and they told him to not push on his outlaps, and Max blatantly just comes over the radio and just abuses his race engineer and just goes, "I'm never listening to you guys again. Like I could have been in front." And then I think it was Crofty, I don't know who went and got his times and said,
Yeah, Ted Kravitz, I think.
It might have been Kravitz.
Yeah.
And actually went and got his times.
And he was like, there wasn't much faster he could go. And even then, Leclerc would have still beat him. Not even, like, lack of reliability aside, Leclerc would have just got him in the DRS zone.
Yeah, exactly right.
So he's kicking up shit about nothing. And I was like, do you think you could have held him off for, like, 20 laps?
Well, that's my point, man. And then you look at Hamilton, who's obviously finding he wants to be at the front. He's used to being at the front, we'll say. He's now finding in the midfield, we'll say, and finishes the race, and he's just congratulating the team and saying, keep pushing, guys, we'll get this. And then Verstappen's out here chucking a sook because his race engineer
he
told
was
him
saying
not to
that the engine reliability should not even, like, that should never be an issue.
Yeah.
And like, mate, like...
Do you reckon it's all to do with the new E10 fuel?
Yeah, so it runs hotter, I think, from what I was hearing.
Weird, because E10 is usually cooler, man. Ethanol usually cools your engine.
E10, I think, has... It might not burn hotter, but there's a different, I guess, burning temperature.
Yep.
And as a result, the mechanical parts around it just must run hotter, or, they're just not as regulated. So I think that's what the overheating issues are. And then with the brakes, every team does it all the time. They always try to have the smallest possible brake ducts because they don't want aero drag, and this is the issue that they face. Yep. Same with cooling and everything else like that. So.
It's just crazy that there's a lot of people actually struggling with the brake. So, as I say, Red Bull said to Max, if you don't stick it this time, and he ended up going for another 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, they said you got one shot and he went for it 3 times.
Yep. But yeah, it's just crazy. McLaren obviously struggled in testing with it. I can't think if there was any other cars that were struggling with it. They did say in the race there was a lot of cars struggling with it, but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how quickly cars develop, Obviously, I think, listening to Daniel's post-race press conference, he goes, there was some corners that I felt really confident, like really comfortable in the car with my braking point and everything. So it's kind of interesting. He reckons he was comfortable. Are their brakes that bad then, or was it the cooling of the power unit that made him drop back? Because
who knows, man?
Yeah, it's all mysteries, man. Like how does it work with the power unit freeze too? Say if Mercedes identify that the power unit is lackluster.
I think I don't know exactly how that. I'll have to look into it, how the power unit freeze works, but I believe they just literally are short of adapting their power units to the new fuels that get introduced, because I don't think it's E10 for the next 4 years. I think it's going to progressively go to a little bit more economic.
Yeah. It's only 10% E10 at the moment.
Yeah, so I think they're able to adjust the engines to adapt to like the fuel, like how they utilize the fuel.
Yeah, okay.
And make that respond, but the actual power unit itself, I don't think they can change. Which is kind of fucked, because like, what if someone really messes it up? Then they've got like 5 years of just being in the back.
I feel like there's certain parts they can't change.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing the regulations.
Like, I think they can't change the actual ice, the actual heart of it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, obviously the MGHU's going at the end of this year. No, 2025 or 20. Yeah. When they're talking about Volkswagen and stuff joining.
Yeah. 2024, I believe.
The whole thing of that was that they're going to cut that part out, which is going to significantly reduce the cost of the power unit. So, yeah, who knows, man? There's a lot of if, buts, and maybes at the moment. It's a first race, but I'm so invested,
Mate, yeah.
So invested.
The last thing I wanted was a runaway Red Bull, or like a runaway any team that was just dominating at the front. I would have kind of been okay if it was Ferrari, solely because I knew Ferrari like had Leclerc and Sainz who could compete with each other.
Yeah.
So it would have made it somewhat interesting. But if like Red Bull were a runaway, it was just Verstappen walking all over Perez and winning the championship, which is like boring.
But do you reckon that's how a lot of people felt about Lewis and Mercedes?
But then they had Rosberg to watch for like up until 2016.
Yeah.
And then Valtteri. But 2017, 2018, even 2019, Ferraris looked like they were challenging Mercedes. Vettel was winning in the 2018 championship up until Germany, after Germany.
Yep.
2019, Leclerc and Vettel had illegal Ferraris, but they were flying. Mm-hmm. It was only really 2020 that it was like a no-brainer. It's overheating again.
Yeah, I reckon we
might
have to wrap it up for this one.
But keen. See you guys at Jeddah.
See you guys after Jeddah, or we might do the pre-race quali reaction and then a race reaction. We'll see how we feel. But
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching for the start of this interesting F1 season.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be interesting.
Fucking keen. See you later.
See ya.